want to say this. Growing up, I always had a fascination for how all Africans, depending on what country they came from, how they all looked alike, right? How they all looked alike, right? You have your Habesha people. They all look alike. You can spot them out. You can spot a Somali out. How they all look alike, right? Well, my biometric study came back from China and Tasmanian, over 80%. Australian, over 90%. This brother right here, Reginald Kegler, I think that's his name, Demcad. And you have my grandfather here, Charles Roundtree, right? Both of these men are from Michigan. I believe my grandfather's parents are from South Carolina, but they ended up in Michigan, right? And it's where they have family in Mississippi. Um, David Banner, that's my lineal cousin. Um, he used to come over my grandfather's home in Chicago when we were kids. Um, well, when I wasn't even born, when he was a child. He used to come over to that one house that the whole family used to be at. So I'm talking about family roots. I'm talking about family roots, right? You see how these men all look alike, right? Including this young man right here. This is what they did. Demcat always talking about your Second Amendment rights. We hunt. If we need food, we get game. What are we doing? We're hunting bison, we're hunting buffalo, we're hunting deer. You got the rifle by the door. All these men look alike. So when you look at the migration of how people got to where they were, you wonder, how did Aboriginal Australians, my grandfather, right? How did these men, the men who look like my grandfather, how did they end up in a place like Michigan, Tupelo, Mississippi, Sangaree, South Carolina? How did they end up in these places? How did they? Now, I just mentioned the Habesha people, right? When you look at the Habesha, right, you wonder. You wonder about the Habesha. The thing you notice about the Habesha, right, is how did they do the Exodus? Because they always preach from that Bible, that Orthodox Bible. They always talk about the Exodus. We left where we formerly were and we became a nation. One day we're going to have to do that. One day we are going to have to do that. Right now, as I speak, right? When I type my name into the search engine, my history comes up while I was in court. And mind you, I've always been in court as a plaintiff, suing corporations. My business come up. All this stuff is coming up, right? I have no privacy on the internet. None. One day, all these men who look alike, they're going to have to say, we have to perform our exodus. And it's going to be different than what the Habesha people did, because you got to wonder, What was the wisdom delivered from the four wheels that was given to the people who managed to get out of the last catastrophe or the last earthquake? What's going to be the wisdom wheel this time? What's going to be the wisdom wheel this time? You see? But all these men look alike. All of them. You see that? I would say go to GeneUXYZ. That's GeneU.xyz. Do your biometric study. It's free. Upload your selfie. See who you are. See where your people come from. It's time for us to make our next moves. It's time for us to go. It's time for us to settle elsewhere. I don't know where that's going to be, but I don't think it's in the United States. I don't think it's in the United States. Great peace. Yakoki. Now look at how they look, right? These two people. Look at how they look. They share the same hue melanin. This means they're in the sun all the time. Let's forget about how many times we bathe and don't bathe, right? Let's just look at the fact that they're near the equator, right? You below the equator if you're from Australia. And this is, I don't know where she's at, but she's probably in what, Uganda, Kenya, somewhere. Maybe South Africa, Tanzania, who knows? But look at this. Look at the amount of melanin that they share. And I love his personality, right? Because I'm looking at this video and I can see him animated, right? He has a charming personality. My grandfather was the same way. He had a charming personality. Very charming personality. Very suave, not malicious, cheerful, very friendly, very friendly. Always want to play chess. Whenever you came over, we had to pull out the chessboard to play chess. But this is what I mean. When we talk about our family being spread out, we just can't say we're American. We just can't say we African. We just can't say we are Australian. We have to find a name that suits all last one of us that's spread out. You may be in Africa. You may be in Australia. You may be in America. We have to find a name that suits us once. When we find out, we get that biometrics test. We find out, oh, we're Tasmanian. Oh, we're Australian. Oh, those are the same people. Boom. Oh, we got some Bantu in there as well. We may be 80% Bantu, 60% Australia. You still our people. You still our people. Then it makes sense. Then it makes sense. I love the fact that when you finally figure out the truth, it all starts to make sense. Because when you're growing up in America, you're not told who you are. Your parents don't tell you who you are. You just are suited with the fact, oh, you're just black American. Well, that's not enough for some people who want to find out the truth. It's not enough. We know when we look at each other, right, and we start to get inquisitive, we start to wonder, like, okay, why does this person look that way? Why are they acting that way? Why are all the criminals looking one type of way? Why are the people who are fighting off the criminals look one type of way? Then it makes sense. It makes sense then. This is how it looks when you take a lot of bath and you are above the equator, right? This is how it looks when you're in the sun all the time, right? You may have scrub baths. This is how it looks, right? Same amount of melanin. Same amount of melanin. Just the brightness factor is different between the two, but it's the same melanin. How we spread out, how we so different, but how we so alike. This is what I like to study. I love to study anthropomorphism. What is that word called? Anthropology. I love to study anthropology. I love to see how people are intertwined and how they are all alike. I love that fact. I love it. I love it. Great peace, Yakoki. Now I'm gonna say this before I leave, right? He looks like my nephew. He looks like my nephew, Arnold, my oldest nephew. Same build, same slender physique, um, fast twitch, um, sort of like I was when I was like 19, 18. Had the same build, very skinny, very long, um, and he kind of looks like my childhood friend Richard. Richard, he went to Indiana, I think. He left Chicago right before we moved. Yeah, he went to Indiana. But this is also what I want to say. Listen, I love the fact that Africans know as much as they do because they can help us. They understand all the methods that everyone is trying to get to right now. You speak to an African, they know the you speak to, let an African speak to a black American about, okay, what is language? The black American is not going to understand what they're talking about language. They just going to say we speak English. What do you, like now it's starting to catch on. It's a wave now. Like people are starting to get it. Like no, it's more evolutionary than that. Like um it's more nuance to it, right? It's more expectation to needing to know things as far as language, as far as customs, as far as traditions. Africans understand that. Black Americans, they could learn a lot from Africans in that respect and in that regard. They could learn a lot. They could learn a lot. This is why I love the fact that when I can speak to Africans or I can talk to Africans about certain things, it gets me hyper. Especially when I see like, okay, this person is willing to talk about that. I would love to know what their elders tell them. You see, now listen to what he says though, the older man.
They've been camping here for 5 days now. They call this a walkabout, a period of roaming without any specific destination.
The land, it'll take my breath away always. When I'm out in bush, it's really strong culture and the way we sit around the campfire a lot. And yeah, I like it out here. And it's really beautiful. And the way you can hear the water, and it's really, really quiet, nice and quiet. And from where I'm sitting down here, I'll go to bed. And if I'm looking at the sky, I can see all them stars, a million stars all over. It's beautiful.
He said the land just takes his breath away. It's beautiful. That's what he said, verbatim. That's what he said. I am intuitive about learning more about the people in Tasmania and the people. I can't find any footage of the people in Tasmania. Only of the people here in America, like Leslie Jones, the comedian. She's Tasmanian. She looks just like my cousin Denise. Extremely like her, right? Um, my cousin Charles. It's crazy like how you have all these patches of remnants left from those tribes around America. Like you can find every phenotype from a past tribe or a tribe that's still alive, that's still living in America. It's just the people don't know who they are. As someone was like I'm sitting in a hospital some months ago, right? And the Mexican guy, right? He's walking around and he's saying things like hey mate. He's basically trying to insinuate that, I'm Australian, but he's not telling me I'm Australian, right? But I know this, I already know this, right? I'm very aware of what's going on. Um, but had this been in 2012 or something like that, or before I had, or yeah, before I had left for Minnesota, I wouldn't have knew what he was talking about. But he knew I was those people. That's why he kept saying, "Hey mate, hey mate, hey mate." He would always sit around me and say that. You know. So this is interesting to me. This is interesting, right? Um, I just decided. I said, let me go on GNU.xyz and see if I can find more information on my biometrics. And I just saw Tasmanian at like 80 or something like that, or 90, and I was just like, okay, all right. And this documentary popped up, and I was like, okay, I get it now. I get it. I get it. It makes sense. Almost everybody in my immediate family under my grandmother's lineage, all of us look like Aborigines. All of us. I would say all of us. If you can't say immediately, but you can probably find just a tad bit, depending on the day. Like you see it, you see it. We look just like these people, you know. Like the kid in the previous segments, who was looking to the side. I got a picture when I'm eating lettuce, and I look extremely like him. I got the eyes bulging, and the tipsy nose, the bulging nose. I want to see more people do things like this. I want to see people be like, okay, I found who my people are. I found who these tribes are. I found this. I found that. I found that, and basically just match the photos. Like just be like boom, boom, boom. You know, I think that'd be dope, right? If a lot of people start doing something like that, right? I think that'll crash the algorithm. Because we're thinking small when we just say things like, like I hear a lot of people say like, "Oh, I'm Cherokee," or "I'm Choctaw," or they'll say Creek or something like that. I think that's kind of thinking small. You know, there's creeks everywhere. There's chocolate everywhere, right? I think that's thinking small. Um, Show the people around the world who you look like and see what tribes they're assimilated with, and are those people who they look like, right? Because you can find someone in the black community who looks Habesha. You see what I'm saying? So, like, I look at my cousin Jay, and he looks a Khan. He looks a Khan. That's Ghana. That's Ghana. And his grandmother um on his father's side, which is my uncle, right? She looks exactly a Khan. AKAN. Those are people in Ghana. Exactly like them. And I can't find out who else looks like that outside. I can't find those people if they look like that in Melanesia or what. But in Ghana, they look just alike. Just alike. So that's what I want to say. This was a good video, and I'm going to go ahead and upload it. So you all be peaceful and enjoy your day.